In short, yes and no. Over the past couple days, there's been a lot of talk of a Subaru BRZ STI, which is a car that car guys like me have been dreaming of for years now, ever since the FRS and BRZ hit the market. And now, amid new rumors of more STI models coming to the Subaru lineup, the question stands, will Subaru make a BRZ STI? Now, on this channel, I don't normally like to dabble in car journalism and stuff like that. I really like to make vlogs and install videos that really don't have any opinion or stuff like that in them, and more are just kind of fun taking you guys along. But with this topic, I felt like I should share my opinion, or at least I wanted to share my opinion, so here we go. Is Subaru going to make an STI BRZ? Now, the rumors for this arose because of this photo in the corner. We already know that that is not a photo of a BRZ STI. They actually came out and said to, I believe it was like Car Eye something, they told a news source that this photo was actually of a special edition WRX STI, not a BRZ. They told them that this was a special edition for the WRX STI Type RA. So we know that that's not a BRZ STI. But they did also say that there is potential for other STI models in the future. A lady just drove by, but she like slammed on her brakes to see what this was. The looks that you get when you're filming, they're great. Just for YouTube. Oh my god, that person actually came to a full and complete stop. There's a person stopped right there watching me do this. Now they're moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. Alright, where was I? So, the photo that they released was for a special edition WRX STI. But they did say that there's potential for more STI models to come in the future. So that could mean a BRZ STI. But in my opinion, I really don't think that they're gonna make the BRZ STI that everyone wants. The BRZ STI that everybody wants is this one, which was the 450 horsepower BRZ STI concept that they released a couple years back. It has a bunch of aero on it, whatever, but what else it has is a turbocharged FA20 producing 450 horsepower. Now, we all know that they aren't going to make truly a 450 horsepower BRZ, but a turbocharged 300 horsepower BRZ sounds awesome, but they're not going to make it. The reason that they're not going to make it is, one, that it would be a direct competitor with the WRX STI. The WRX STI currently produces about 305 horsepower out of the EJ25, and if they made a 300 horsepower BRZ, it would be a direct competitor to the WRX STI. People who would be looking at buying an STI might consider the BRZ STI over it, and they would have a competitor in their own market, which is not really something that marketing people do. They don't really like to make two things that are equal to each other that would compete with each other, because they normally want to have like one thing for one market and one thing for another market. Now, the next reason that I think that they're not going to make a turbocharged BRZ, or FRS for that matter, is because they haven't already. Now, let me explain. When the BRZ first came out in about 2014, let's say May, in the month of May, they sold 852 BRZs. In 2016, in the month of May, they sold 383. That's less than half of the amount of BRZs that they sold when it first came out. So when they were going to revamp the BRZ and the FRS, they wanted to do something to boost those sales, because the sales of these cars were way below what they predicted. And they did. They revamped the car. They gave it a new front bumper, 5 more horsepower, and a bunch of stuff on the inside of the car. But still not much more power. No turbocharger, no supercharger, only 205 horsepower, which is just 5 more than the normal 200 from the one that's behind me. And that didn't really work. Looking at the month of May for 2017, with the new BRZ, they sold 437, which is more than last year's month, but not any more or even close to when the car first came out. Now, you may be thinking that a turbocharged BRZ or FRS may take a lot of time to do because they have to put a lot of money into R&D and develop a reliable turbocharged engine for the car. I'm not sure if you know this, but the thing is, they already have made a turbocharged FA20. They actually sell a turbocharged FA20 in some Subaru models outside of the United States. They aren't in the BRZ and the FRS, but the point is, they've already put money into R&D into developing a turbocharged FA20, and it's still not in this car. So what I'm trying to say is, if they were going to make a turbocharged or supercharged 86 platform, they would have done it already. It would have only made financial sense to do it to try and boost these sales, but they haven't. And because they haven't done it already, and because it would be a direct competitor with the WRX STI, I don't think that they're going to make it. Well, what if they do make an STI BRZ? What's it going to be? Well, it's probably going to have tuned suspension, better brakes like the Brembos that come on the special edition now, maybe better wheels, maybe some aero stuff, just like a tuned BRZ. Very similar to the tuned BRZ that they sold in Japan a little while back. The BRZ TS, tuned by STI, was a car that they sold in Japan for a little while, which just had a couple aero mods, a couple suspension tweaks to make it a little bit more STI-ish, but they didn't add any more power. So if they're gonna make a BRZ STI, it's gonna be like the BRZ TS. Now, of course, I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong, and they could produce a 300 horsepower BRZ STI that we've all wanted, but I just don't see it happening. I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it happening. That being said, what if you want that 300 horsepower BRZ STI? Well, let's take a second and think about this. The BRZ is currently for sale at like 28 to 30 grand starting, and I'm assuming that you could bring it to 32 to 35 with extra things on it, right? If they were gonna sell a turbocharged BRZ, it would probably be entering the $40,000 mark. You can buy a used BRZ for $20,000. With that, you still have, after taxes and stuff, $15,000 to play with. With $15,000, you can turbocharge or supercharge this BRZ, put coils, wheels, and do a decent amount of stuff and make it the BRZ STI that you want. Not the BRZ STI they will make, but the BRZ STI that you want. So if you want a BRZ STI and you're willing to spend the money to buy one from the factory, in my opinion, buy a 2014 BRZ, that's an FRS, but pretend that that's a BRZ. Buy a 2014 BRZ and then modify it to be the car that you want it to be. Stop waiting for them to make the BRZ STI that they're never gonna make, and make your own car. I know that this brings up the argument of built versus bought, but all I'm saying is if you really want that car, you can have it right now. To wrap everything up today, they might make a BRZ STI, but it will probably be just like tuned suspension, some aero and stuff like that, and nothing like what we car guys really want it to be. Of course, again, I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. So again, if you want a BRZ STI, go ahead and make it. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. It was kind of my first dabble into car journalism. If you guys like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and I'll maybe do some more of this in the future. Probably not, because I'm often wrong, and so I don't like talking about my opinion because I'm often wrong. But nonetheless, make sure you guys subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter. We'll see you guys next time. Why wait for a Subaru BRZ STI when you can have a car that looks that good right now?